Hi there. Because of lockdown, today I will be speaking to you from my home in Robertstown, West Yorkshire. And with the help of modern technology and Eamon, we're going to speak to Mrs. Pauline Torrance in Southampton. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Good afternoon, Pauline. It's very nice to be able to speak to you this afternoon in this time of crisis. Makes a pleasant relief.
Good afternoon, Terry. Nice to see you too, over the
Thank-
miles.
Yes. I'll try and be very gentle with you. I'll not ask any probing questions. Well, not many. So let's begin then. Let's go back a few years to when you was a child. Have you always
Okay.
had dogs in your life?
Not when I was a very young child. We did, as I got older, we had a little toy poodle that was a rescue dog. A funny story is I used to take the toy poodle out with my doll's pram, which was a twin doll's pram, and both the hoods could come up.
Yeah, I remember them.
I'd get to the top of the road, walk to the top of the dog, and I would walk to the top of the road, and at the top of the road, the dog would go in the pram, and we'd go off for our walk. Of course, when my mum took the dog for a walk, the dog would sit at the top of the road and not go any further. And it wasn't until a neighbour said to her, "You know why she won't go any further? Because your daughter puts her in the pram."
And what was she called?
Susie.
Susie. So that was why you were young and you were at home.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah,
then
quite young.
when did you become more involved with the dogs?
Then in 1970, when I was still at school, I was sort of nearing leaving to go to college. I got a little part-time job, and that was at a Pyrenean kennel, and that was in August 1970. In the February of 1970, they'd been best in show at Crufts with Bergerie Neur. So that's when I got involved with show dogs.
So did you go with them to the shows and prepare the dogs? And
after a while, yes, yeah, I did. First of all, it was just kennel made, cleaning them out and picking up and what have you. Because obviously they had big kennels. They were big dogs. They had a big house, but only two of the dogs lived in the house. That was the reserve best in show at Crufts 1968, Marshall, and another champion bitch. And they used to go and wander on the common on their own. They were often seen wandering out on the common. But I went to the shows with them, and one of the shows I went to with Mr. Prince, we took a couple of youngsters, and he says, "Oh, do you like to have a go at showing?" I said, "Yeah, okay." And of course, I was handling a young bitch puppy, and she went best puppy in show with me handling, so that was it. The judge, of course, was a great favourite of mine. It was Bill Siggers.
Oh yes.
So of course he was always a great favourite of mine.
So was that your first? Was that your first attempt at showing?
I think it was. Yes. Yeah.
In at the deep end.
A quick lesson.
Well, this is a lead and that's a dog.
Yeah.
So were you a close friend that got reserve best in show?
No, he was. that was in the February before I went. We went the year afterwards in the February to Olympia. We took him there, and I sat with him in the little room at the back near the vets, because obviously he was interviewed by Mr. Prince was interviewed. I didn't get to see much of Crufts then because I was looking after the dog, Grant. So, but I always remember going to Olympia and parking on the railway line there, and with Pyreneans, you had not only the stuff but the dogs as well, and nearly being dragged down the down the station. But yeah, that was a long time, 50 years ago now. So
there was something special though about Olympia. I think it was one of the best places that I've ever been to for Crufts. It was probably because we were younger, and it was magic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I always remember. I'm sure it was Olympia. Then I wasn't showing any dogs at the time. Between not having a show when I was younger, I used to steward and stewarded for Joe Braddon. That was an experience.
Yeah, I bet it were. These are the characters that are no longer around in the rings, are they?
That's right. Baptism of fire, that one.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Definitely. He'd tell you exactly what he thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, proper characters from the past, those.
Yeah.
So how long were you at the kennels for then? How long did you stay there for?
Until it was only a couple of years, because I went to college. But I remember I must have been at college sometimes. I was learning to type, and Mrs. Prince was trying to write a book about the Pyrenean. I don't think she ever finished it, but she would give me some of the typing to do, so that helped. But it was only on the little tiny typewriter.
Works experience.
Yeah.
So were they locals for you then?
Yeah, they only lived about 3 miles. 3 miles from where I live now. I often go across. We go that way if we're going to Salisbury. We pass the house. Obviously, they're no longer there, and it's all changed.
The kennels have gone, have they?
Yeah, the kennels have gone. I used to cycle over there on a Friday, stay all weekend, and then usually Mr. Prince would bring me home in the car and the bike on the Sunday.
Marvellous experience, though, isn't
it? And my mum and dad hardly saw me during the summer holidays because I was there all the time.
Yeah.
But I did save up enough money to, I think I was paid £1 a day, but I did save up enough money to go on a skiing trip. But unfortunately, skiing's not for me.
No, it won't be for me either. I don't like snow, and I don't like cold weather. So how did you move? Oh, let me just ask you, did you ever fancy having a Pyrenean then? Or was it just the size?
Well, it was the size, yeah. Yeah, another funny story. I know this is more about Pyreneans. I don't know whether I think we must have been going to a show, and Dad said that he would take me, because I wasn't driving then, he had a Volkswagen Beetle. And of course, the Pyrenean was in the back, slobbering down his neck.
It just sounds fabulous, doesn't it? Going to a dog show with Pyrenean mountain dog in a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
Sounds brilliant. So how did you move from Pyrenean mountain dogs to the Lhasa Apso?
Well, I always used to look at, Mrs. Prince had lots of old books, some lovely old books on different dogs and that, and I'd look at the different breeds, and I really liked the Pomeranian. I thought the Pomeranian was the dog for me, especially the Hadley ones. They were beautiful, many years ago.
Yes.
But I wrote round, this is when I'd finished working at the Pyrenean Kennel, and I was at college, and just before I got a job. And I wrote to several breeders, and the only thing that they come up, saying that I wanted to show, that I was serious at wanting to show, and the only thing I could find was a male dog without a tail, or with a tail that was damaged. So of course I wasn't going to be able to show that.
No, it's not going nowhere, was it?
No. So of course the other dogs, I like the Shih Tzu and I like the Lhasa Apso. And then I saw an advert for a Lhasa Apso in Southampton, a puppy. So I contacted them, and it was Rosemary and Frank Wallace. And that's how it all started. The first one, unfortunately, she wasn't a show dog. So, but then they realised that I was really keen on showing, so they said, they would let me handle one of their puppies. I think they had a litter, or I think there were two dogs, a dog and a bitch, that were by Hestia, a Frith, and Whirly Hermes. And but there was only the one bitch, and Rosemary wanted that, and that was a grey and white one, and that turned out to be Biento Impossible Dream. So the next litter they had was a daughter of Hestia, of Frith, to Whirly Hermes, and they had a nice bitch in that, and that was my Tamsin, who's Biento April Love, and that was my first show at Apso. I showed her for them, and at Booba that year, and I think this must have been about 74 or 75, Mrs. Morgan, Selma Morgan, was judging. I think we got a second, so that qualified us for Crufts. So Rosemary and Frank said once we'd done that, they said, well, we'll put her name in partnership so that you can take her to Crufts.
Yeah, you became very good friends with them, didn't you?
Yes.
And I think you must have learned a lot from them over the years.
Oh yes, yeah. Because their first breed, of course, was Old English Sheepdogs, and Rosemary had a best of breed at Crufts with one of the Old English Sheepdogs. But Rosemary, her knowledge went back through terriers and things. She's a very knowledgeable person.
A very dog person.
Yeah, very, very dog person. And they also had a Irish Wolfhound, lots of things. But they had a small kennel. And of course, we were lucky enough to have Herman, Whirly Hermes from Glynis and Falmer. So I showed him a couple of times. One notable occasion was I took him in the ring for Rosemary at Crufts, because he was quite a strong-willed dog, was Herman. And so I took him in at Crufts in open dog. Lady Frida Valentine was judging.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And we had a second to our Matthews's, I think it was Simple Skinful, and Champion Hardacre Simple Skinful. We had second in open and got the reserves DC. So that was
excellent. Fabulous memories, aren't there?
Yes,
fabulous times. So, did you start showing yourself with the Biento one?
Yes, yeah. As I said, Tamsin was in partnership with Rosemary, so we decided to breed from her. And it was a joint decision as to which dog we used, and we decided on Hardacre Pied Piper because he was going to Australia, and he was with Anne at the time. His owner had already gone to Australia, so we took Tamsin along, and I always remember we left Tamsin with her and she says, "Oh, he likes to be on his own." So we left her for a couple of days, and I phoned her up, and he said, "Oh, I think they have mated." She says, "I can see he's got a smile on his face." She said, so that was the first litter, and that produced Biento Secret Love. So all of the ones I have now go back through the years, back to Tamsin and Amy. Amy was, as I said, they were in partnership with Rosemary and Frank. But I made the decisions as to where to show them, what have you. Amy Biento Secret Love had 1 CC and 3 reserves. And I actually looked at some of the old things, and Bill Siggers gave her one of the reserve CCs. So that was rather nice.
Just lovely names from the past, aren't they?
Yeah.
So where did you get your prefix from, and when did you first start using that?
That was a little while on. I didn't get a prefix straight away because they were in partnership with Rosemary and Frank. We couldn't really use it. I don't know how we got, because we did. We had Amy was a Biento, Sally and Sue. That's Love in a Mist, Champion Biento, Love in a Mist.
Yes.
They were all bred in partnership, but we managed to get the Biento in front. I don't know how that slipped through, but it did. And it was when I when I moved to Woodlands Road up with Jack. I don't think we were married, but we did. We were married shortly after. And so, as I said, we lived in Woodlands Road, and I was trying to think of a name that was something. Woodlands was too long because I didn't want too long a prefix because
No,
it restricts you.
names,
Yeah. So I looked up. I had a list of Tibetan words, and it looked like wood and land. I think Sin Mule is something vaguely. That's my story anyway. So it's vaguely Tibetan, and it's woodlands. So that's
very good. So I'm not going to. Well, I am going to say, aren't I? In the olden days, in the olden days, in the olden days, in the days gone by. Oh, that sounds as bad, doesn't it? Which dogs were the most influential in the breed? What breed lines? What kennels?
Yeah. Well, obviously Hardacre
Yes.
was very influential because she's behind most breeders today. The Richardsons, Belazes, Hardacre, yeah. Saxon Springs, just to name two. But she was because she had the big kennel and what have you, as did Jean. Thelma Morgan was very influential.
A very knowledgeable lady.
Very knowledgeable. A lot of my breeding anyway. And Glynis, of course, who's still around with us, has been a fountain of knowledge because she can always remember what happened in the olden days.
Yes, and she's always so helpful and eager to help anybody out, isn't she?
That's right. Yeah. One of the show dogs that will always stick in my mind is Alexander.
Yes.
A bit of him, he was always immaculately groomed. Pamela always put him down beautifully. He never put a foot wrong, and I can always remember at Southern Counties, and I think this was at Ardingly at the time, so a long time ago, pouring with rain, and we were in this big barn, old barn, wooden barn. Half of the Apso ring was flooded, but in the corner there was Alexander on somebody's raincoat, looking immaculate.
But she always kept him immaculate, didn't she?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah.
Do you find the shows have changed a lot over the years?
Oh, they have and they haven't. You still get the shows sometimes where you're always in a tent in the pouring rain with the muddy fields.
You don't get the numbers though, do we, like we used to
do?
No. When you used to get 30 in Minor Puppy Beach, and
yeah,
you would have to split the class in half and do another half.
Yeah, I was looking through some of my old records, and one of the shows I judged, I think I had 3 or 4 classes at an open show, but there were 17 entered, which was quite a good number, and that was before Hackensack won Best in Show at Crufts, and that's when the numbers really rocketed once he'd gone Best in Show at Crufts. So they were always quite good numbers. Quality was usually good. You had the odd ones that weren't, but usually nice type.
Do you think the breed's changed a lot over the years?
Yes, in some ways. You know, when I first started, Rosemary and I always used to bath our dogs to go to a show, but a lot didn't because there weren't the products that we use now.
No,
for the coat.
I didn't used to. I used to rub in starch into the coat.
Yeah, that's right.
And brush it through.
Yeah, there weren't the products, and of course, a lot of the older ladies didn't bath their dogs, and they didn't have the long coats and things. But they were nice sound dogs. They were good sound dogs. You know, they may not have had the glamour that we've got today.
No, I think it's presentation that's improved tremendously.
It has, but sometimes the dogs underneath, they may be presented beautifully, but they may not be true. They're more show dogs than Lhasa Apsos.
Yeah, I think sometimes coat can blind people a bit. From the ring side, they look amazing until you
Yeah,
actually put your hands on them. But a good presentation. As
yes,
you
that's
say,
right.
we didn't have the products in them days, did we?
No, no, we didn't. But, we had quite a few, but not the sophisticated products nowadays. Get the coats straight, because the coats weren't that straight, some of them. And of
I
course,
used to go to a dog show, you'll probably do the same, with a folding card table, a brush and a comb, and water and a spray bottle with water in.
yeah,
And now today, we've got a trolley with more stuff on it than Parson Preach Bar. How times have changed.
yeah,
Have you judged a bird, Pauline?
completely different from judging over here, because you have to do a critique on all of them. And it was quite funny at the end of the show. You think, oh, there's something missing because you didn't have to write the critique
Right.
because you've already done it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also very easy, because if somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, you did. Why didn't you give my dog this?" You've got it down in writing, because you get a copy of what you've written. So you may not write it, but you get a copy of it.
But
So
also,
that
it's
was
easy in a
interesting. So
way.
you
You
can go
don't
back
have,
through
yeah, you
your
don't have to
notes.
remember anything, do you?
No, no,
Because you can what you see, you can write down straight away while it's fresh in your mind. You're not
yeah,
going home and thinking now, what were this and what were that?
no, that's right. But then they don't have the numbers there. So
No, no.
I think I had about 30 dogs there at that time. In 2010, I went over to New South Wales and to judge the dogs, and Jack came with me that time, and we had a couple of weeks in Australia. Judged the show. He's still there, and that was nice and interesting experience as well. We also went to the Royal Show, because it was over the Easter weekend. So they had the club show on the Friday, I think it was, and then the Royal Show was on the
Was that in
Sunday.
Sydney?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've judged that show.
Yes.
Wonderful,
Yeah. They're
wonderful
lovely.
place.
Yeah.
Wonderful place to judge. You're judging outside in the sunshine, and there's cockatoos flying about. It was
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. Yeah.
And the people are lovely as well. Very
Yes.
friendly.
Yeah.
Very
I
helpful.
can
Yeah.
understand why people could live in Australia. It's a nice
Yeah.
place to live. Yeah,
It
I thought
is.
that when we came back.
Yeah. So we had an extended holiday. As we came back the night we flew back, of course, we had the ash clouds, so we had 5 days in Abu Dhabi.
Over the years, then, when you've judged, have you got any notable memories? What's been your highlights? And either you or the show you've been judged at, or the dogs, or
Um, yeah, well, quite a few small things, not huge things, going best in show or anything. Smaller things that the one of them, Rosemary and I took. It may have been we took 4 dogs to Crufts and won 3 classes. Of course, being first of all with my first champion, Love in the Mist, she was in the group at Peterborough, I think it was, and she was pulled out into the final 6. Don't think she was placed, but that was lovely. And then of course Dora, Champion Desperately Seeking, she won 3rd in the group up at Darlington, which was a great day. And then this year, of course, May. She got made up. She got made up on the day and was 2nd in the group.
lovely, isn't it? Lovely achievement that.
Yeah.
So over the years, people have noted you for black and whites and greys. Is this a line you particularly chose to go down, or has it just evolved?
No, it's evolved. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, what does a grey like? What it look like when it's a baby?" And I said, "Well, it's very difficult. I've Tamsin was a golden white. Tamsin was a golden white, and she was made into a black and white, and she had Amy, who eventually was the grey and white. But when she was a baby, she looked as if she was going to be golden white, but eventually turned. It's a brindley sort of colour under the skin.
Yeah. Any sign of brindle, it took a grey.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah, that's right. It's like my current May, my current champion, her sister, I thought she was going to be my grey and white because I haven't had a grey and white for many years. But no, she's a light golden white. It just went lighter and lighter. So I'm not very good at telling colours. They do. Apsos change so much.
So much. And colour
Amy
wise.
actually is registered gold and white. So so don't ask me. As I say, we don't see so many grey and whites now. There are very few proper grey and whites because they're all black and white or gold and white. But the actual grey and white doesn't.
Yeah, that silver grey. Yeah, you don't see that much. You don't see that much at all these days.
No.
So over the years, when you've been judging, which are the most notable dogs that you've judged and you've thought to yourself, oh, I'd love to own that?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
You don't have to commit yourself, just tell me.
No. Yes, I think I've got to turn to the Nedlicks for this. Champion Nedlick, something special. Was beautiful.
She was something special.
She was something special.
Well named.
Yeah. Nedlick Annan was a lovely dog that I placed well. Of course, I didn't actually judge her, but I always liked her. Champion Fresno. To me, there will only be one Fresno. She will always be the top dog or bitch. She was just beautiful. I do remember her being naughty before Jeff took her over.
Oh, I remember when Jean used to show her.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. She wouldn't walk, tail were down. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So, but she was a true Lhasa.
Very stubborn.
Very stubborn.
Jeff certainly got the best out of her.
He certainly did, yeah.
After Jeff got her, she was like a different dog altogether. It was a fabulous combination of Fresno and Jeff. They just adored each other, didn't they? And
they did, yeah.
Yeah, which is really good.
That's right.
Can we just talk about Tibet?
Of course we can.
Your trip to Tibet.
Yeah.
How amazing was that?
That was in 2006. It was amazing, yes. Well, Nepal was amazing. We started off in Nepal. We had 3 days in Nepal acclimatizing. Then we flew to Lhasa, which is at Lhasa Airport. It's about 90 kilometers from Lhasa, the city. And directly you get off the planes, the altitude hits you because it's quite a difference between Nepal and Lhasa. And then we had a day getting to the town of Lhasa. We had a few days there. We actually climbed up the steps of the Patala Palace. I think Jack was the first one up. There was a party of about 12 of us. Jack was the first one up, and I was about the last one. It was, well, with altitude, climbing those stairs was just something else. We used to find it in our hotel, just climbing a flight of stairs. You'd feel like, we were quite young what was it, 15 years, 16 years, 15 years, 14 years ago. We were younger then. But you'd get to the top of the first flight and think, oh, I got to go another flight of stairs. It was interesting to see all the monks and that doing their going towards one of the palaces on their fronts, prostrate, and moving along like that, doing the devotions. In one of the squares, the Tibetans, if more than 3 Tibetans came together, the Chinese would break up the group because they weren't allowed to meet. We saw a few dogs. One definitely, I sent Jack scurrying past it to see it moving, and that was a Lhasa. Some were Pekingese. You could see their Pekingese cross Lhasas. But our guide said that you didn't see many Lhasas because they were all owned by the more wealthier folk, and of course China got rid of a lot of those, so you didn't have many Lhasas about. Saw quite a few Tibetan Mastiffs. From our hotel window in Lhasa, I could hear Lhasa Apsos. There was a definite sound of a Lhasa Apso, because I could actually see the Tibetan Mastiff that was down in like a courtyard.
You know that sound, don't you? You know that sound from your own, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I put my head out the window. I said, "Jack, that's a Lhasa. I can hear it."
Did you tell him to be quiet?
No.
Can I also just add on while we're here? You were probably one of the biggest leaders towards the PRA testing, which, as I can see, has been very successful. Are you pleased with the outcome of it?
Yes, I'm sorry it took so long, but I think it was technology. I think there's a time for everything, and Dr. Sargon, when we first found that, he tried, but it was just very difficult. And I think it was the mapping the genome for the human that then allowed the Animal Health Trust to map the genome for the dog, and that helped us an awful lot, I think, with getting the test. So it was because otherwise it was needle in a haystack stuff when we first started. Thankfully, we didn't have that many cases, but it has shown that we did have a few that we didn't realise there, since the testing. Of course, at the moment, it's difficult with the current situation in the Animal Health Trust as to who's going to do the testing from now on. But I'm sure someone will, when this all blows over, someone will come up and take on the tests.
Yes, because it would be a shame, because people have really taken it on board.
Yeah.
And if it's not available, they just don't do it, do they?
No, this is it. So, but I think, obviously, the Animal Health Trust have licensed other people to use it abroad. I'm sure they have. So hopefully that will all sort itself out in the fullness of time.
Could you just give new people coming into the breed a bit of advice about how to go on? I think a lot of them feel they should be coming in the breed and be winning straight away. And it takes time, doesn't it? You've got to get used to the breed and used to the dog, and used to showing. And
yes, yeah, it does. I came in the breed in early 74. I think I judged my first show in 84, and that was an open show. So, that was 10 years there. And we didn't have any tests as there are now, and we had a few seminars, but not quite as many. But the people that were on committees in clubs and things, and that had the making the decisions, could see what you were showing and the type you were showing, and that you were breeding a certain type, or you had some idea as to type and soundness and one thing and another. And I think that's how it all went about. It was, but it didn't happen overnight.
no,
and
we say, don't we, like, you need to do your apprenticeship. I don't think we actually mean you've got to do like a 5-year apprenticeship. It just takes time. It takes time. You're learning all the time, I find.
Yeah, you've got to,
just enjoy it as well.
Enjoy showing, which I do. And when you said, what have been the highlights? Well, I enjoy most shows. Win or lose, it's obviously you prefer to win, and we all want to win, but it's nice to go and see the friends. And I think that's what we're all missing.
Socially.
Yeah, that's what we're all missing at the moment as well.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how this is ever going to sort itself out.
No.
But time will tell.
I have another anecdote of going to a local open show. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
a local open show, Southampton, and I'd driven there, and I had this old A35. I took a couple of dogs, and of course Irene Chamberlain was there with a couple of bitches and Stuart. And after judging, of course, we went to the bar and had a few gin and tonics. How I ever drove home, I'll never know. It wasn't, but those were in the days when you could drink and drive, and
Yes,
there weren't
yeah.
much traffic on the roads. And, yeah.
And in those days, people used to stay behind after the show and have like little social gatherings and all, talking
That's
about
right.
each other's dogs and
Yeah.
which
And used to stay to see if it wasn't too far, like the local open shows. You get together and you watch the group judging or the best in show if it wasn't in on the group basis. And, but people don't nowadays. Sometimes because I've only got bitches, sometimes I don't arrive right at the beginning of judging. I always aim to get there at the beginning of judging, but it doesn't always work out. But sometimes as I'm walking in, people are walking out, and you think, what's that all about?
yeah.
I know they have no
I
distance
think,
to go.
well, yeah, but sometimes I think sitting and watching, you learn so much about the dogs, just by watching them.
Yeah.
So over the years then, which has been the most outstanding specimen of the breed? I know you said the hardacre lines earlier on. Would you say with that? If you got to pick one dog.
Well, one dog would be Alexander, and the bitch would be Fresno.
Perfect.
So, and
Perfect.
that
I don't know
they
about
to me
you, but I feel like those two dogs, the dog and the bitch, will go back into the breeding these days. You could use that dog or that bitch again in the breeding of the dogs that were bitches that we've got now.
That's right. And as for influential stud dogs, well, of course, I have to mention Danny, Intrepid.
Oh yeah,
he was a lovely character, and he brought so much to Lars's, because Lars's, when he came in, could be like Fresno a little bit, even though Fresno was one of his, could be stubborn, and of course once he came into our lines, they weren't quite so stubborn. Of course, other influential stud dogs, I think we have to go to Bellazzi Salt and Pepper, who to me, lovely size, type, and produced lovely size and type as well. And of course, he went on with Nedlick Pepper, and behind a lot of the dogs today that I know of. Doreen and Rob did a lot for the breed for many years. Brought in quite a few different American lines and that, but they didn't always work. But then that's what happens when you have imports. It doesn't always work.
you just have to try these things sometimes.
That's right. Yeah, but at least they tried, and of course the story is still going today. Josie. So, can't keep a good woman down.
Sorry?
I said, you can't keep a good woman down.
You used to be able to pick a Bellazzi dog out in a lineup of about 12, and you could say, well, that's Bellazzi, just so type. Of
course, when I first started, they were showing Champion Hardacre Hitchcock of Bellazzi, so for George, their first dog, and he was a great showman as well with Rob.
He was the golden white one. He was golden white.
Yeah. And then you had Malcolm. And of course, Malcolm and Salt and Pepper were what I call the brindle time. So we had a little time when there were quite a few brindles. You had Salt and Pepper, Shalari Piperman at Hardacre, brindle dogs that did well. But then we went to the gold, then Intrepid came in, so we had the golds.
I think if you got brindle in your line, it's very strong colour, very dominant.
Yeah. As when you said earlier on about did I mind colour? No, at the moment I've got a gold. Toffee's now 13. She's behind my black bitch. Toffee was mated. see, yeah. Toffee was mated to a grey. Lottie. Toffee's mother was mated to a grey and produced a gold. And then I mated her to a gold and she produced a grey, which was Gloria, which is close encounter. So it's
Have any of your dogs, have any of the dogs that you bred and had, to you been outstanding at all?
Well, yes, of course. Dora's, was such a good show dog.
I wasn't saying that because they were biased.
Yeah, that's right. And now May is such a lovely dog to show. She's just a joy. She's never stubborn. Very rarely is she stubborn. At the moment, they're in season, so it's not so good. Bitches can be something else when they're all in season. Yeah, so but she's always a lovely little girl. She never lets me down. Always wanting to go on a walk and run around, and whereas her sister can be very stubborn.
Yeah, it's a typical Apso, isn't it? Yeah. How do you think the lines mix with the lines that we've got at the time?
They seem to mix very well. Mrs. Stour Morgan's lines mixed really well with his lines, and Sue Ellis, and yeah, lots of them mix well with Intrepid. He had style, and he just gave the breed a bit of the oomph it needed. So because we had quite a few stubborn Lhasas about, and he helped with that. Of course, we had stable bitch lines that he was used to, so that helped. And another thing, when I went in 1989, I went over. Jack happened to be working in New Jersey, and I went over and stayed for 5 weeks. Hilary was 3, and I went for a weekend to Joan Kendall's house, and she took me to the National, and she showed me some of the pictures of her first dogs, and they were very similar to the bitches that I was used to seeing. So I could see where the lines came together nicely.
Yeah, I think over the years, when it's just been like a melting pot, hasn't it? And over the years, it's all come back together again nicely. So, Pauline, do you think colour plays a big choice at all in the dogs, these show dogs these days? Do you feel that sometimes the greys and grey and whites and black get overlooked for the more glamorous colours?
Not with everybody, but with some all-rounders. Some all-rounders think that they can only be golds or gold brindles. Yes, I remember hearing one all-rounder saying to another one last year that oh no, blacks don't have very good fronts, and
every black.
Well, that's right, and unfortunately, I don't think you can say that.
No, you can't.
I have other, but yeah, the other thing with blacks is they are, the poodle people have got it right. They usually wear their red trousers and their different colours. You can't wear black trousers when you're showing a black.
The trouble I've always found with blacks and greys, if you're indoors on a grey concrete floor, the dog just disappears into the floor.
Yeah,
it doesn't show the silhouette off one bit. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Out of all the dogs you've owned and bred, Pauline, have you one that's the most memorable to you?
Well, the first one obviously would be Sue, which is Viento Love and the Mist, because she was my first champion that I showed myself. I reared her and showed her. I had her sister, who actually was the one that we bred from, because Sue, I couldn't breed from her. One of those that sort of said, no, thank you very much. So luckily I'd kept the sister, Sally. Sally actually one CC under Jim Bainbridge at Border Union. But I did, because I was showing Sue, I didn't show both of them. So Sue was, and then of course we come to Dora. Well, as you know, Terry, when I came to get her, I said, that's Sue looking at me there.
I remember when you came to get Dora, you came up to our house all the way to Sheffield, and I'd got 2 litters of puppies at the time. I think there was about 13 puppies altogether, all of a similar age. And we went over them and we picked them, we poked at them. And then it was a lovely day, so we let them all run around in the garden. And you must have sat there for about 3 hours. And I said to my wife, I don't think she's going to have one. And then all of a sudden you went, yeah, I've made my mind up. I'm going to have that one. Do you remember what you said? You said, I think that could be my next champion.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that. But she was a dream because she was like clockwork, wasn't she? You just put her down and she went.
Yeah.
Never let you down. Never let you down.
No, she didn't. No.
Yeah. So how many champions have you bred or owned over the years?
I've got to think about it. I think I should really go out in the hall because I've got them all up apart from May in the hall. So there was Sue, Dora, Alice, Willow, Gloria, May. Yeah, May's my 6. May's my 6. I've had other dogs that have, like Sally had 1 CC, their mother had 1 CC and 4 reserves. And then I had a dog, Boise, he had 1 CC as well. So that's 5 plus 1 I didn't breed.
Oh, I count them as 6. We said 6, yeah. I always count the 1. If you owned it, yeah. You don't have to have bred it.
But I owned her from 8 weeks old.
Campaigned it, yeah.
Oh, was she 8 weeks? So was she 12 weeks when I had her, Terry?
Yeah.
She was quite young.
Yeah, she's about 12 weeks.
Yeah.
About 12 weeks. I should have kept her, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should have. You had some lovely bitches. But then you get just as much fun seeing other people doing well with your stock.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. What did she qualify for that time? Do you remember? Pup of the year or?
No, she didn't qualify for Pup of the Year.
It was some special thing, wasn't it?
She won a waffle, which was the food I was feeding Sue at the time. Sue she was on a vegetarian diet, and Dora had it as well. And waffle, and she won it was a private photo shoot we went up to, and that's where the big photo came from.
Yeah, that one.
That was waffle, yeah. Yeah, so that was, and we were presented with it at Crufts.
Yes, I remember. It was really good though, and it was a really exciting day.
Yeah, Keith Thornton was the rep then. He does a lot of judging as well, I believe. So, yeah, it was a lovely day.
Lovely day. I don't want to ask your age, Mrs. Torrance, but how many years have you been in the breed?
Well, I've been involved with pedigree dogs now 50 years.
And how long have you had Apsos?
So Apsos, it was 74. So what's that? 46 years.
Yeah. Similar to me.
That's a long time, yeah.
46 years, a lifetime.
Yeah.
It is a lifetime, isn't it? And do you think you'll continue showing and breeding?
Well, at the moment, yeah, God willing, if we can get the show back without our face masks and things.
How can you see that going in the future?
Oh.
Dog shows at the moment.
Yeah, but at the moment, the entries aren't quite so good, and who knows whether the doodles will take over.
Yeah. Yeah. The world will have a class of their own soon, won't they?
Yeah,
the
it was good.
doodles. You see, I can't. This is off camera. I can't imagine how Cluster's going to be next year.
No,
There'll be about 10 dogs there.
well, they have to open it up without entries, won't they?
Will they?
Without qualification.
Like a normal show.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it?
They'll have to, won't they?
Yeah.
Bizarre. It's going to be bizarre, isn't it? Them
Well,
puppies I've just sold are being open before they come out. The
Wow.
first show will be an open beach. Is there anything you would have liked to have discussed that we've not discussed, Pauline?
As breed health coordinator, if anybody has any problems or things they think I should know about, obviously in the strictest of confidence, please contact me. You know, but there are things like cancer and things we can't do a lot. It's not necessarily genetic, but other things, if they want to contact me, they can do.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you this afternoon, Pauline.
Nice to talk to you.
So I hope you keep well and keep safe. And that's
You
the
too.
same for anybody that's watching. Keep well and keep safe. Thank
Yeah.
you for watching.
Thanks
Bye.
very much. Bye.
My pleasure. My pleasure.